wrong for them in-game, it doesn't matter. They seem to regroup. They go right back at him. And Gen.G, they need to try to pull it together here. This is still easily a winnable series for them. But Chovy has been getting really outclassed by BDD. I think that's the elephant in the room, and Canyon was not impactful in that last game whatsoever either.
It really is a repeat of when the upset came through, and that was, I think, a series where there was, you know, a little bit more at play. It was the LCK playoffs. Gen.G was the one that ended up picking KT, obviously, which, especially if this upset come through, will be one of the funniest facts of all time. But it's also a Gen.G that a couple of days ago against Hanwha showed a completely different level of gameplay, right? And that is one thing, but on the other hand, as highlighted, Perfect and Peter in particular are just unrecognizable in their consistency. We've seen the moments of these players throughout the year. There were every now and then. We saw Perfect have a crazy Rumble game. Peter had pop-off performances. As that Zoe ban I was actually looking out for, because getting Chovy on a comfortable matchup after that last disaster of a game needs to be the priority.
It's so important, and I mean, that's not even just the one, it's the Ziggs and the Zoe. That's the pairing that KT used.
Oh, I love that.
And Nidalee ban here against Canyon, like you said, hey, we don't get comfort, you don't get comfort. And I had talked about how incredible I felt Kiin had played through those first two games. Perfect, I actually feel like just outplayed him last game. I think he had more of an impact on the game, even getting counterpicked by my best top laner in the world. Perfect had such an impact on the game, was really steady. And Canyon is gonna go towards that Skarner.
Goes for the early tank. A lot of them already taken off the boards. You see the Sion gone, the Rek'Sai, the K'Sante, the Ornn, the last real big tank that you can play out of the top side. See how strong Canyon can be on these Impales, considering usually he plays the Nidalee in game 4. That has a spear that impales. This has a Skarner that impales. Mundo, a possible answer.
Mundo jungle is really strong into other tank junglers because you need to hit both parts of your CC to actually deal with the canister, right? It's similar to the idea of bringing it out against Sejuani. It can be very difficult for Skarner to actually do much against Mundo. Mundo can outpace you as far as the farm, outscales you as far as, you know, what you're going to do in the team fights, as far as being a front line. And going to Kalista as well here for deokdam. So now I'm expecting some spice here with Peter. I wonder if we're going to get like a Renata or something along that to really go for a power duo here. KT are just throwing down the gauntlet.
It's understandable because that last game as well, showcasing that deokdam and Peter, when the matchup is right, can just get the better end of their opponents.
Lucian
also,
Braum, maybe?
Yeah, would make sense. Also, I think that the Kalista is a pick that Ruler used to just not get to play for many a year in the LCK, as there is the Braum, which has been a standout performer for Duro.
Renata.
But yeah, that Renata should come as no surprise.
Yeah, it just makes a ton of sense. And Braum has also been getting banned second phase a lot in this series, it felt like. So we're going to be dealing with that. I think Renata makes so much sense here. And a lot of pressure on Ruler already. I mean, these are that Gen.G style of play where you don't always have the most damage from your other members. Of course, they still could draft a strong carry for Chovy and for Kiin. We don't know. But Ruler, they are always depending on him to really show up in these big moments. And that's something he's done throughout his entire career.
Something he always does on this Lucian as well. There are 3 players I really trust to play it. Paze, Viper, and Ruler, really the 3 that I put up there for the Lucian. We'll see how much impact he can have. Hwei banned away by KT. I like it because KT don't have a huge amount of dashes. The Spiraling Despair, if it goes on a Mundo, that's a large area you have to avoid.
Could also see them either banning or R4ing Victor here. That's been one of the comfort picks for Chovy, something he has gone towards many times in these type of high-stakes situations. A pick that in theory also has a really oppressive laning phase. And either I think they're going to pick it here or they're going to ban it away.
That was kind of my thought process, was double ban Chovy and then pick mid on 4 and really try to limit him. I mean, he's just looked so uncomfortable in this series.
Yeah.
You know, multiple flashes that were really at poor times, not flashing, you know, the arrow at critical moments. So I really rate that as a strategy. Just try to take away as much as you possibly can. There are so many mid lane bans already. Now the question is, do Gen.G ban out the Victor, or are they unconcerned about it? Because if you take away the Victor, then you start getting into like melee mid territory, or really kind of the weirder control mages.
The one thing with the Victor is that an Akali counterpick is something that, if you're performing well, can work wonders, but is the trust there? I also want to call back our minds to 2021 BDD back then. Together with Ruler, was 1 game away from making it to World Finals. He finds himself in the same position as the blind Cassio. Big risk here.
It is absolutely risky. I mean, it definitely can shred through this front line, but generally speaking, Cassio struggles into range, right? So now there is that possibility of Chovy just goes Victor, and I feel like you have the advantage in that lane. In the 1v1, you can kind of just outrange and poke and prod with the lasers here.
Is there ever a possibility of Cassio top?
There is.
Something we haven't seen for a while.
But I really don't think so. With this many mid lane bans, I feel like that thought process. I feel like Yorick Blind is always really risky. I know that they banned the Renekton. There's a lot of top laners like Abessa and stuff that are popular in the LCK as answers. But to me, I always think about things like Cho'Gath that are up. And Cho'Gath actually just one-shots the Maiden at level 6, scales really well. It's an easy answer that can then team fight better. We have seen some Anivia come out. Caps played it, Faker played it.
Gives you incredible area control, really hard to siege your towers, and when you have a short-range comp with things like a Kalista, the Anivia Glacial Storm does a huge amount of work. What a KT going for the top. Into the Yorick. I like Cho.
I mean, I think it just gives you an insane front line. But you are very vulnerable to the Anivia as well, so that is problematic.
We'll have to see. Chovy back against the wall, goes for the Anivia, which into both the Kalista, the Renata, and the Cassio, I think is going to feel great. And Perfect just going to keep doing his job as he has been this series. Going to lock in the tank, try and get as much impact as possible, but I do have to say, I don't love picking Ornn into Braum. That to me is always a matchup that there is a ton of value. It's so easy to deny the second activation of the ult. One thing about the Cassio though, trying to play Skarner, who really is their only engage, into Cassio is a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, that is a nightmare for sure, but I feel like it's easier for Gen.G to play that kind of like poke and prod, the disengage game, because you have Anivia, you have the side lane that should have, Kiin with the advantage on the Yorick, so he can be playing through sides, and I feel like it's more on KT to be able to force fights then, where, you can have Ruler every time Culling's up, just looking for chunks, just trying to soften you up. If you try to enter the fight, you're getting walled off, you're getting the Braum wall thrown up, so I do feel like I prefer Gen.G's draft in this one, but that being said, the way that the play has gone, it's been KT that's playing the better series, and they do have some strong scaling options on their side, of course. You do hit a certain point in the game where Cassio can become quite tanky. You have Mundo, you have Ornn upgrades that are going to be coming through.
And as Score walks off, he was on Gen.G when they got stranded in quarterfinals in 2023. Found his way back to his old team a year later. And now, match point. Everything on the line. And KT, even if they lose the next game, they'll get side selection going into that possible game number 5.
Once more onto the breach for Gen.G and KT. For Gen.G, a game in which you can turn the tides into your favor, but really at the back of your mind always, there'll be that leering doubt, that looming threat of elimination in a series that you should have dominated. For KT, it's one step closer to those finals. It's one step further into Never Neverland, into a miracle. And they have constantly shown throughout this series that they will bend but not break.
I mean, this is a KT that at Worlds now is 9-1. It's crazy, right? And there were those questions being posed. Yeah, well, you were 7-0 coming in, but it's Gen.G. So now you're going to go 3-0, and then you're going to go home, right? And now they have proven that they can take it to Gen.G as well. They really are just rising to the moment. They're playing with no fear, and their players are stepping up and really shining, it feels like, on this world stage.
And it's the power of the vibes, right? It's something that KT themselves have talked about a lot. The atmosphere within this team, something that we always go towards Peter, but it's not just him. It's also BDD, that is a player that is loved by so many, that is well regarded as both a teammate and just as one of the best mid laners in the LCK. A league, by the way, where you're going up against both domestic Chovy, the best player of all time, and then even players like Zeka and Showmaker on a daily basis.
And that is the thing that has always felt a bit almost, I want to say unfair for BDD, is that I think at times he just is the best mid laner in the world. Like, he has these stretches in his career where he's playing out of his mind. That's perfect. You've got to respect that level too. You cannot allow Yorick to get these free E's because the ghouls do so much damage. But BDD hasn't always had the same luxury of some of these other mid laners to be surrounded by superstars, to be set up in that same kind of way. And it's just beautiful to see him playing this well. I mean, his career has spanned such a long time at this point. He has been able to maintain his play at just a world elite level for years and years and years and years.
And there are years that would have broken a lot of players, right? I keep going back to that Nongshim roster of 2022, a roster that historically underperformed despite some big names on there. A team that then was followed up by Peter's team as they won challengers, were fully promoted, and that team had glimpses of brilliance, but by and large, we're still a roster that didn't really make too many waves. Although, you know, I did love them very dearly, funny as they were. One thing I do want to highlight is that Cuzz this time around doesn't have the same jungle pressure that he does. As strong as I think the Mundo is in this position, I do feel like we need to highlight that early ganking possibility isn't quite as strong, because walking in and hitting a cleaver, not quite a flag and drag.
No, not at all. But that being said, you don't have to. You can just play for that scaling. And I mean, obviously, it can be very difficult for a jungle Mundo to get to, you know, the promised land, the level 16. But if you can power farm and just kind of show up to objectives, you can be quite strong in these objective skirmishes, you know, even relatively early on. The W, as well as, you know, fully ticking ultimate, is just so much HP that your opponents have to work through. And there's no ignite, there's no like easy heal cut that is going to be applied. Of course, we're assuming someone will buy an Oblivion Orb or something at some point. But Mundo can really be a problematic champion.
Canyon spotted as he walks up towards the top side. He's going to recall after finishing that Scuttle Crab. Cuzz already back out on the map with double Ruby Crystal. I've been seeing some discussions about first Mundo items. A lot of junglers here at the at Worlds are going Heartsteel. I've seen some people say Warmog's first is actually better. Gives you extra sustain and extra mana through the jungle. And then you well, it keeps you topped up through the jungle. And then you get the Heartsteel second. And although you're stacking later, you're still getting bigger stacks. So kind of beneficial overall.
Yeah, Mundo is one of those champions where you can just go free Giants belts and be like, yes.
Yeah.
Feeling great about it. We do have Kiin, as expected, finding the early impact, but Perfect's job is, as it has been in many of these games, just absorb that pressure and try and make sure that Kiin doesn't build too much of a lead.
Absolutely, and I mean, it's always a little bit difficult when you're playing against the Yorick, because the Yorick just crushes towers so fast. So, you know, if you are losing the push, if you are making any mistakes, it can be incredibly punishing. But you know, the Wave obviously pushing very heavily away from Perfect. He has up a couple CS, but there's many more than that to farm. And I think Kiin's going to easily be able to keep this off his tower. So Perfect is going to have to try to fix this wave. He can't face right now.
Handshake out from Peter, forces Duro to use the Unbreakable. Cuzz has already started the Dragon. Spamming out those spells. Double Ruby Crystal obviously helping him get through more of those. Canyon's coming across though. The KT bot lane is the first to move. Perfect hits level 6. Does have the teleport if the Call of the Forge Gods needed. Cuzz and KT should be able to secure the first Drake. BDD looks for the Petrifying Gaze. Canyon. Ishtal's impacts away from it.
A little bit too predictable there. Canyon swerving out of his death. Would have definitely ended up going down there if BDD had found him with the gaze. Not the end of the world. KT still gets the dragon, which is what they were playing for. And your stat still holds true, Medic, from the last game, where...
First 2 Drakes means you win the game.
There you go.
That's what it's been so far this series. We'll see if KT can keep that up. Some damage going down onto Ruler. Heal was used by Peter as well for the chase, but Duro with a good Unbreakable.
Canyon's going to get spotted there by the Kalista W, so the Sentinel does spot him, so they are going to be aware. And will clear out that ward, but we're just seeing Peter and deokdam play with that confidence. Trying to play in their face, and Cuzz looking to cover. I mean, you want these kind of lanes to be able to play aggressive, right? And that does require jungle tracking and coverage. So that's why we see Cuzz down here after that ward got cleared out.
This is also where KT are most likely to develop an early lead. You can see topside, Perfect is just trying to survive. He's already 350 gold behind. deokdam and Peter the target for KT if they want to get those early advantages, and there's only a small gold lead for them overall.
Right now, neither team really wanting to get too much going. This is also one of those games where I think you can look either way when it comes to the power of the composition, right? There are some parts, the Mundo to me is always the standard, but even Ornn and Cassio both have incredible scaling as we get into the late game. And on the flip side, you have the side lane threat of the Yorick as well as the Anivia that does become really, really tough to engage in.
Yeah, and the question is always one of range for me, right? Because if the Cassio can get a range, if the Mundo can get a range, if you can get up there, it is really, really powerful, but it's sometimes very difficult to close the gap against champions with really powerful slows, right? Because the canister is going to stop your point and click stun, but it doesn't just make you immune to slows or anything like that. You know, the Anivia can be still walling you off, keeping you out. You know, that can be difficult to deal with, and I think that is going to be the question. You know, can they actually play around the creatable terrain, you know, the Yorick cage, the Anivia W, all of these tools to kind of keep them at arm's length and try to whittle them down.
And we have seen a suspicious amount of Mundos in this tournament just like get one-tapped, where I think you feel safe, right? You have the canister, you have the W, you have the ultimate. And that's something that hopefully will not be happening to Cuzz if you are a KT fan, as we do have some movement towards the top side of the map.
It's all about that CC layering, because he can't pop the maximum doses when he's crowd controlled. So if you can get him CC layered through the canister and take him down before that effective HP comes back, it's easy enough to kill off the Mundo. Grub started by Gen.G. Chovy the first to move from mid. BDD forced back underneath his tower. Cuzz trying to make his way in here, but with the concussive blows about to proc, I think he might back away. Puts the Q back into Gen.G. The first Grub's gonna go. As Peter begins to step up, BDD still looking for the flank. There's the second Grub as they pull in with a hostile takeover, even by the Unbreakable. BDD with a great petrifying gaze! Finds 3! Duro chased away here, has to flash. Ruler doing the same. deokdam still on the chase. Chovy able to pick up BDD on the back line. The wall enough to save Ruler. Gen.G get out with 2 Grubs and a 1-for-1.
Yeah, Ruler barely limps out of that one. That was incredibly close to taking him down here. KT will be able to go back and grab 1 Grub. BDD walks away with first blood, but Chovy gets one here too, and this is just such a close fight. Credit to Peter, he kind of just forced his way through here, putting the pressure onto Chovy.
And it really did feel like the series was teetering on the edge here, as BDD initially doesn't hit the mark, but then that ultimate right there, it's only because of the Impale that I think this fight is even remotely close. And then Chovy here is able to just keep Ruler alive. If he goes down as well, that's another kill for deokdam. And I think that phase from Helper, very appropriate given the situation. They are denied the triple grab for the Yorick though.
That was really close. Did deokdam rend before the barrier expired? It looked like he just might have. It was just on the edge of that barrier expiring, but I think he might have rendered a split second too early, which definitely would have been the difference for Ruler surviving or dying, but of course difficult to stay in range there as well as he's running back under that tower. Very close start to this game here.
Gen.G about 300 gold ahead, nothing too consequential. Peter and deokdam back towards this bottom side. Cuzz on his way across. A big gold lead for Kiin in that top lane. Building up towards the Triforce, a big spike for the Yorick overall. Canyon, Ishtar's impact's not going to get him across the wall. There's the miasma to follow up. KT on the chase, Canyon's going to flash. And that will be down for the Drake in 10 seconds time.
I like that from Peter. The flash is definitely a lot less valuable, especially when you have Kalista, though the ultimate is not up right now for Kalista. They have to delay a little bit. All these key ultimates are long cooldowns for KT. Mundo, 5 seconds till that's up, 5 seconds till Cassio ult, a little bit until that hostile takeover. KT want this to be played slowly.
You need to be careful though. If you lose control of an area into Braum and Anivia, retaking it is an absolute nightmare. As Dragon gets started up, Kiin just straight up walked all the way down, but there comes the teleport from Perfect.
Teleport from Perfect. They're looking for the call of Forge God here. Cuzz going in, maximum dose juice. Hostile takeover. Lands onto Canyon. Cuzz stepping into Duro. Cuzz CC flashes away. The smite comes out from Canyon. Gen.G secure it. Call of the Forge God from Perfect as they flash forward. BDD looking for the petrifying gaze, but can't quite find it. Kiin falling lower. Perfect on the chase. KT find 1. But the Drake's already gone over to Gen.G. KT will look for a little bit more. Noxious blast from BDD. The Fates call. Calls the Braum to an early grave as KT find a second.
And the 2 Drakes are denied to KT, but they will get a bunch of extra kills, so I don't think they're going to be too sad about it. 1 kill going to BDD, and 1 going to deokdam.
And Cuzz is just focusing purely on the fight. You'll notice he doesn't even try to actually go for the smite fight. Canyon commits to this as Cuzz just goes straight in onto Duro. This fight could have been so much worse, but watch from Perfect here. He's not really able to land the combo very well and then whiffs the stun on the wall. If he caught Ruler and Chovy there, I think it's a wipe, and he barely missed to the right. So a little bit of a misstep from Perfect. Saves that from being a total disaster for Gen.G. Otherwise, KT would have gotten so much more.
You see some shaking on the player cams there as well. As we look at KT with a 1,000 gold lead, and there is a time in a series like this where it goes from unexpected victories into anxiety about what could be. And for KT, I feel that might be hitting right now. It's gone from, oh, well, we're playing Gen.G, maybe we'll pick up a couple of wins, now into, We're 10 minutes, 20 minutes away from a World's Finals. We're 10 minutes, 20 minutes away from the furthest we have ever gone as an organization, by a long way. Before this, it was quarterfinals, and from a battle to claim ourselves the 2025 World Champs, and they are looking for Chovy once again, the key target for Gen.G. As they chase in, Chovy's gonna flash the handshake and gets himself out. The bird no longer has that summoner.
And good attention being paid here. It's deokdam and Peter making their presence known on the rest of the map. Gen.G, I don't think get too much. They will be able to get the wave crash. We'll see if they're also going to play for maybe a little bit of a delay there as they stay in the tri-brush. BDD is covering though.
Ruler and Duro looking for them. Peter and deokdam should just be able to walk in here.
I've just loved how Peter has actually played this game. He's really been active on the map, putting on a lot of pressure. He is not just sitting in the back and playing scared. He's forcing his way in at that early grub fight. He's trading flashes with Canyon. He's wrapping around and looking for plays, getting the flash out of Chovy as well. This is what you want to see someone do when they have lane prio. If you cannot advance it in your 2v2, you need to use that tempo to get out on the map and make things happen. And I think Peter has done a great job with that so far in this game 4.
Looking at the item spikes, deokdam has his blade. BDD ahead on the stacking. I think we'll be about 2, possibly even 3 ahead of Chovy by the time that Chovy finishes his, obviously having to invest his money in boots, unfortunately for him. No such costs for BDD.
It's champ diff. That's all it is right there. Boots
Which
of
it doesn't
swiftness for the
even make
bird.
sense because it's a bird.
Yeah, you have to put them on the talons, man.
You don't. No, you don't.
No,
You
otherwise,
don't need the
their
boots.
claws get dirty.
Back
what
me
are you
up here.
talking about?
Brazil. Birds don't need boots.
Nah.
I mean,
Oh,
what if
come
he
on
has
now.
cold talents?
He is an ice bird.
Yeah,
That doesn't mean they don't get cold.
That lends more to my point.
He is the
He's gotta
embodiment of ice. He
He's
does
got to
not
be
get cold. There's
constantly
no way.
cold.
No.
It sounds terrible.
No way.
It does sound
Okay,
it.
well,
We need like a Christmas skin for Anivia with little booties and a hat, you know?
to disagree. It's fine.
Maybe a nice Christmas sweater.
The important point of it all was that Chovy had to finish his Swifties before he can get his Rod of Ages, which is now stacking up. It's about 2 stacks behind BDD, who has a fiendish codex to buff up his Tear of the Goddess. 1,000 gold, still the lead for KT. Herald up in 20 seconds time. You can see their bot lanes on the top side. Kiin is matching them though, as Ruler and Duro actually commanding the middle of the map right now.
And this is where the tenacity for Gen.G really is going to get tested. Because KT, I want to again reiterate, they will have side selection going into a game number 5. They're the team that there was no expectations on today, and they're a team that coming in was full of confidence as well. Peter was like, you know, I'm feeling good. Did an interview with Kenzie, said I think it'll be 3-0, 3-1 maybe. And those are the type of vibes, the confidence that is hard to match as we go into another team fight for Herald.
Gen.G have all 5 players here immediately. TP to the mid lane from Perfect. He's a long way away. The Herald already down to 5,500 HP as Gen.G look for it. BDD on the flank. Duro flash, Winter's Bite into the Glacial Fissure. They dodge a petrifying gaze, but Duro's still caught by it. Flash hostile takeover coming out into the Fate's Call. The Cuzz is able to get the Herald as Kiin tries to get onto that back line, but so much work here from KT. They've already found 2 in the fight, and the tides are very much in their favor. They'll chase down Canyon. KT raw to life in game 4.
Duro thought he found an angle onto BDD, but it's so hard to engage past the miasma. Gen.G can't really follow up whatsoever, and then everyone else from KT swoops in behind the Gen.G members. deokdam was untouched throughout that entire fight. So much space was created.
It's the engage Braum that puts Gen.G in a serious deficit. The Chemtech Drake, second one, going to get picked up for KT, and that's again a good Chemtech angle with Mundo, with Renata. As we take another look, I think this is where you see the desperation. Duro tries to go in, does hit the ult, but with BDD's flash, and the response from Peter, flashes over the wall, hits the ultimate, and then immediately gets pulled back, and Canyon, he's impaling, but for what?
I mean, Peter knows exactly how an engaged Braum wants to play. That's how they beat CFO in game 1 of the quarterfinals. The chase continues from KT, and you can see for Gen.G, they just never wanted to get into that choke point.
No, not at all. And I mean, it's impatience from Gen.G. They're a team to me that is synonymous with being able to play towards your win conditions, play towards the strengths of the composition. But we had talked about how you need to play around your range. You need to play around the fact that you can wall people out and outrange the Cassio, outrange this Callista, utilize the created terrain from the Anivia and the Yorick to create problems for the KT members. But instead, you're trying to flash for the engage, you're trying to make the big play, and your team has to try to walk through hostile takeover Miasma to try to follow up. There's just no way that can ever work. And Gen.G get antsy and are massively punished for it.
And now a 3,000 gold lead for KT, 17 minutes into Drake's to them. deokdam at 1.2k ahead himself as Canyon here to try and defend the mid lane tower. The bone saw from Cuzz goes wide. The turret's still very healthy. There's a Herald in deokdam's pockets. I expect to see that waited for a little bit as Cuzz walks up towards the top side. Chovy backs away, realizing that he doesn't have support right now.
And deokdam playing with Kalista with a 1.3k gold lead now into the Lucian. Gonna be feeling good about that.
Miasma down, there's the wall. BDD needs some backup and he finds it immediately as Cuzz chases Canyon out. And in the end, Chovy actually the one forced away up towards this top side.
And you see the immediate response. This time though, Gen.G might get something out of it because Perfect also rotated over in anticipation of a possible fight. And now Kiin is gonna get some time alone. Triforce done. This turret not long for this world.
Yeah, it is really dangerous anytime you're leaving Yorick alone, especially if he's playing Demolish. The towers just melt completely. You always have that as a backup plan here. Allow Kiin to get pressure. Try to just stall out these fights. Yorick really not very powerful in the 5v5 in most situations. So maybe that's what they need to do. Try to force their opponents to overgroup, try to create advantages through that side lane, but they just haven't really been able to find it. And it feels like KT are completely in their comfort zone right now. deokdam is going to have his second item here pretty shortly. Has a 1,000 gold lead. Cuzz has just been power farming throughout this game, 160 CS, and he has got level 12 already.
If you're a KT fan, I'm not sure how happy you are about that win probability because
Very.
for a lot of people, they're going to get excited when they see
It's
that.
time to get excited. That meme is
excited.
dead. They made semifinals. They're on the precipice of beating Gen.G.
Yeah.
If you're not excited, I don't even know if you're breathing at this point.
Get out of here.
I just
mean,
like to watch
I don't want you to actually
Hey.
get out of here, man.
No, you
Come
can
on
stay.
now.
I'm just here for the best League of Legends in the world, and at the moment, it is KT that are bringing that to us. 2,000 gold ahead. Has shrunk with that tower falling on the bottom side to Kiin. Perfect's going to try and get the push in the top side. A minute 40 before the next dragon. Chemsoul for KT would be absolutely devastating for Gen.G.
Looking at some of the spikes here, Kiin about to hit a second item. We do have Ruler with the Flicker Blades now done. Actually, deokdam also, as I say it, finishing his Rage Blade. And Gen.G, the fact that Perfect is even up in experience, right, against Kiin is such a big deal. Ornn is one of those carries that, or characters rather, that loves being on at least par with his opponent, but ahead is even better. You're going to be able to give out the ornaments at a moment's notice, as this
They're just
might
gonna
end
start.
up being the fight that decides the series.
The list are so good at securing objectives like this. But KT started up, then back away, realized Gen.G are on this side of the map. They weren't sure, they didn't have the vision in the Gen.G jungle. And because of that, they then back away. BDD will have a little bit of time to push out mid. Kiin working his way down from the top side. Arakan begins to reset. Herald down. Can be an escape route or can be Peter. Where are you going with this? He's taking it into terrain. Cuzz caught out as Canyon looks for the flank. The wall down. Cuzz trying to get on the right side of it and is able to walk away. The Rift Herald charging in to Gen.G, but isn't going to be able to do too much. Kiin still looking for that flank from the top side as Gen.G continue to leash the Atakan.
Yeah, Gen.G trying to force KT's hand. They got some critical cooldowns there. No Mundo ult is massive, and they're getting sown by the Anivia.
There's a hostile takeover. Duro will be looking for that Unbreakable. Chovy forced away towards the Tribush. 6,000 HP on the Atakan right now. Impale lands. Hostile takeover coming out as well as eaten by the Unbreakable. BDD flashing forward with the Miasma. Redemption's coming out as deokdam dances around the fight. Kiin forced to flash away. Perfect able to escape with a sliver of HP, as is Peter. Ruler now on the front line. He stares into the eyes of BDD and he's turned to stone. His tombstone litters the rift as KT win the fight at Atakan.
It's KT winning the fight, getting the Otacon, and they are going for the dragon here as well. It's going to be KT on soul point, on match point, 8-1, and on the precipice of one of the most unlikely finalists in World's history.
And it is KT that punish a Gen.G that thinks we can make it work. Some of the cooldowns are down, but this is such an awkward position to fight. Yes, they find Perfect, but he still gets off his combo. It doesn't actually end up mattering. And with Chovy unable to do the damage, with Kiin having to back off, Ruler tries to find his window, but instead just gets ulted. BDD takes out so much of the damage.
BDD has just been so stalwart for KT in this series. Moving in, flashing forward, creating so much chaos in the fight, and then finding the ulti onto Ruler, who has no cleanse, who has no QSS, gets stunned up and taken down. You can see the top side as well, the Mundo as well as the Ornn getting a lot of damage out. I don't know if you misspoke when you called Ornn to carry. He's getting in there, man.
Chovy and Ruler topping the damage charts for Gen.G, and every fight it feels like they're trying to do everything they can, but they're preaching to the choir. KT have heard this song before, and for the moment they constantly are outplaying in team fights. Gen.G have not had the macro dominance that you expect from the LCK #1 seeds, and KT constantly are pushing them back.
And you can see ornaments coming through. We already had the one on Ornn before that fight. Now we have the upgraded Rage Blade as well. And that is more stats backing KT here as we move closer and closer to what is starting to really feel like a one-fight game. You just don't think you can give over Soul. A triple Chemtech Soul for Mundo of all champions. It's just how are you going to be able to burst down Cuzz? And I mean, he's almost level 14. He's kept his farm up so damn well throughout the game.
He's almost a full level up on Canyon. There's also the Renata. Even Ornn becomes so much harder to kill, and this is going to be a test for Gen.G, and it's starting increasingly to feel like they're just not able to have the answers. Normally it's about the Kiin test, but Perfect currently passing with flying colors. Cosmic Drive done for BDD. We'll see what item finishes Gen.G can get to. And the pedals was really the one advantage they had. I think they were sitting at like 23 to like, what was it, like 4 to 6? Yeah, coming up on the fight. But that small advantage that they were clinging onto, gone after that Otacon. Item breakpoints, I think, might be too far away. 2 minutes until we will see that Chemtech Dragon to come through.
The thing for KT is as well, if they ever get a small moment with a neutral objective and Gen.G are misplaced on the map, Cassio, Kalista, and Mundo, they just wipe. It's just gone. It's immediately deleted. So Gen.G now have to be so cautious about not overstepping somewhere else. Kiin has been designated the side lane pusher, as you'd expect it. He has a Maiden to help him do that. But now Perfect's moving to the mid lane as KT are look to try and take this tier 1. Cuzz on the right side of the wall that time. Escapes the clutches of Canyon and Chovy.
And Chovy has gone for just a very slow build, right? You know, you are going for so much scaling. Once you get to Leandries, finally there's going to be some real damage coming in behind it. But a tremendous amount of pressure on Chovy and Ruler to really get the damage done. And you have to say, there's no one else other than Ruler you would rather have in this high-pressure situation on a Lucian. To me, this guy really does make Lucian look like a hyper carry in the late game at times. He can walk that nice edge so incredibly well, but one step wrong, you're playing no cleanse, you're playing no QSS, you get hit by a hostile takeover, you get hit by a stun here from BDD, and you're cooked.
There's just so much, right? There is Peter, who, by the way, has been flashing in on every single handshake, as we have seen, flashing into hostile takeovers. Then there is Cuzz, who, if he walks you down, can just blow you up. There's all the CC from Perfect. You already highlighted the miasma. And deokdam is also sitting on the lead, and it really does feel like KT just one more fight away, 40 seconds on the clock. Ruler does not finish his third item, will not be getting that Executioners here for this fight.
deokdam yet to get that third item as well, just has the recurve bow, must be sitting on a sizable chunk of change as the control wards come out in the mid lane. Gen.G get control of the Dragon River to start us off. Cuzz can walk wherever he pleases as the Bella's Breath from Perfect blocks a bit of CC. Dark Possession down. KT corralled back into the mid lane. Chovy takes a chunk. Perfect's the one to face check here as Cuzz goes in as well. KT need to work as 5, and they do so. They take down the Maiden. Perfect slams his face into the wall, and Gen.G back away. Now KT have control. Cuzz still has the flash here. With the culling coming down, Cuzz able to survive it. The redemption used, and the maximum dosage pops on him as well. Gen.G now without their AD carries ultimate, have to fight around the Chem Soul. KT started up, Deokdam looking to put the spears into the Dragon Phase, call out the Impale, only lands on the Perfect, and he doesn't really care that he's in the middle of Gen.G. He flashes out, escapes the storm of Chovy, and KT can just back away. They can look for more of a fight if they want.
Yeah, the question is, can Gen.G find something? Because I don't know if they want to play patient from here. They feel the pressure right now.
Where's the TP coming from Perfect? It's a little bit defensive. KT trying to push towards that mid lane, make sure they're not going to lose their tier 2. They just sacrificed the tier 1, but a Chem Soul, the priceless moment of the game here for KT.
And it felt like KT, or Gen.G rather, was trying to play for the fight. With the position that Kiin took there, he ulted Perfect with the idea of trying to play for that. But instead, they got neither, right? They weren't able to really do anything to Perfect, still sitting on Perfect KDA. And now it's KT that takes control of this Baron pit, and they might very well try to force Gen.G into a fight.
They're looking for the fight. Hostile takeover going down as Kiin has to flash away. Has a Mega Blast Cone there for him to try and escape, but there's no Fate's Call, there's no hostile takeover, there's no maximum dosage, and there's no Call of the Forge God. Will Gen.G want to take the fight? Azale thinks it's already over, and perhaps it is for KT. Gen.G stepping forward, KT still on that Baron, 5,000 on it as Canyon looks for a flank position. The Baron, the target for KT, they'll smite it, they'll secure it. Deokdam stepping forward, dashing onto Kiin, the damage on the Perfect as well, but a petrifying gaze once again from BDD. He sends Gen.G home in body bags. Chovy trying to escape, and he will manage to get to the safety of his tower.
And BDD says, I am going to the World Finals as he flashes in. Perfect finds the perfect knock-up. The Baron is there, the Soul is there, and there is, I gotta say, there's no way that they don't just end from here.
You have to feel it. Shanghai feels it too. The crowd enraptured by KT. The one last ride on the roller coaster, as perhaps it's a ticket to the finals.
And Canyon, when he backed off there, he went to Wolves, and you just can't give any time to a team with this composition. I mean, look at him, he's over by Wolves. He was trying to heal back up, but it just gets burst down so fast, and the Secure is incredibly strong with the Rend plus the Mundo damage, and then BDD freezes them where they stand. Alt flash, Ruler dies instantly. Deokdam, no hesitation, they all flash forward. They knock down Ruler, and Gen.G are stunned. They can't believe it.
And this is where Ruler's journey stranded in 2023. Semi-finals, a 3-1 loss to T1. They were coming in as the heavy favorites. MSI was theirs, and it feels like a retread of that story as KT, the gold lead keeps growing, the nerves unwinding, and the roller coaster is about to go higher than it's ever gone.
One last gasp for Gen.G, one last breath to read KT their last rites, but at the moment it is KT who are composing Gen.G's eulogy. They tried to defend in the bot lane, KT will push up as 4. Meanwhile in mid, Perfect and Kiin bashing heads against each other. The hostile takeover eaten by the Unbreakable. KT back away, Glacial Storm doing a lot of work here from the Anivia.
Chovy just trying to delay as much as he possibly can. They do have such strong wave clear with this Anivia, but Perfect has been pushing mid lane. And the question is, can they clear this wave out as well?
Dark Possession coming down, will catch on to Peter, who falls below half HP. Perfect the same, the Redemption outface cool. Used to pull Peter out of harm's way, but because of that, Gen.G know one of the engage tools for KT is down.
I mean, Gen.G are doing a great job holding at the inhibitors here. It's so tough to siege into an Anivia, even with the Baron buff. But the problem really becomes, how do you ever have an even fight outside of your base, right? And this Elder is coming up here under 2 minutes now. Gen.G
Mega Blast going on to
have
Perfect.
got to try to find something.
They're looking for it. Perfect. There's Canyon comes in. Ishtal's impact for the CC. Perfect's going to try and walk his way out of this one, but even with a Bellows Breath, even with a double knockup, Perfect cannot survive. His KDA goes from Perfect to Imp as he goes 2-1 and 6.
That doesn't really line up with the timing that Gen.G were looking for, though, because by the time that this Elder spawns, Perfect will be up, teleport in hand, unbothered. Kiin might get a bounty for his effort. I don't know if it is going to lead to anything meaningful, as you can just feel the wheels of fate turning here in favor of KT.
And if Kiin over pushes, you can see BDD and Cuzz are moving up. I think Kiin is going to die, and
Chase
this
is
timing might matter.
BDD going in, Dark Possession being used. BDD needs to auto that down, but Cuzz has the flank position on towards this Yorick. Kiin has no flash, no hope.
They're delaying
no
it.
life left. They'll delay it because in 55 seconds, the Elder will spawn. Cuzz can chase him down with the Bone Store as Kiin has no one here to help him. BDD in the end will claim the kill with Twin Fangs and with hope of an Elder to win the game.
It's just brilliant here from KT, the presence of mind in a game like this, delaying the respawn. Kiin will be up about 10 seconds too late for this Elder. He will have his teleport though.
And it's BDD taking down his old teammate in the sideline. They tried to make it in 2023. They were unable to get past Gen.G. It was another KT performance that, even though it was admirable, they put up a good fight, it just wasn't enough.
Cuzz is 16, that is massive for the Mundo. Did get there before this final fight.
deokdam just finished his Guardian Angel as well. He's on his way out of the base, so it's going to take him a little bit of time to arrive here. Cuzz steps forward. As the Mundo, he's going where he pleases right now. BDD, BDD, BDD! He's looking for the flank, and here comes BDD! Miasma onto Duro, Gen.G forced up towards the top side of the fight. The face call onto Peter, handshake going wide, calling out, hostile takeover used as well. And KT haven't found the engage that they wanted out of this as Gen.G begin to turn it around. A good wall, but Perfect breaks it. Slams his noggin in the gate against it and cracks it in twain. Gen.G still looking for the fight here as BDD once again is on the flank.
Yeah, BDD looking for the flank, but Perfect already got low, and Cuzz has no ult now. Chovy just controlling that space beautifully. Gen.G have a chance here. They're trying to buy time for the Orin to TP back.
It's the last stand here from Gen.G, desperately trying not to give it over, but there we go, Orin's back. His cooldown still available.
Chovy on the flank, blast cone down, Cuzz cleansed away with them. Mikhail's Canyon in the pit, Cuzz has to flash. As they look for the engage, Canyon going in, Cuzz in the middle of the pit as well. The redemption coming out from Gen.G. Cuzz trying to get out of that Dark Possession. The Morning Mist landing on towards the backline. The Elder down to 7,000. Good stun coming out. The corner of the port got Duro blocks. The Glacial Fisher out as well. The Elder secured as KT. They get it, and deokdam it's flashing forward. Ruler rules no longer. KT clean up the fight, and now march down mid.
But KT! I can't believe it! The roller coaster is not done yet! Peter was right! We're going up! Up! Up!
In the most unbelievable World Semis, no one thought they could do it!
KT, all the years, all the tears, all the fears forgotten. It is one step closer to the promised land. As we see no defense available for Gen.G. KT are going to finals!
And Peter had never left Korea! He took his first plane out, and now he has a chance to write history!
What an incredible run for KT so far. 10-1, their record here at Worlds. A team, again, that wasn't even expected to be here, that beat Gen.G, but then swiftly was destroyed in the next series. People didn't think it could happen again, but they have made Gen.G's nightmare a reality.